I'm going to be honest, I hate a lot of year-end prompts and reflections and goal-setting exercises. They feel wishy-washy and broad and like things that we have heard a million times before. But I always get an itch for change this time of year, and I think it is so important to take a second to pause, to reflect, and to figure out where we want to go next. Because if we just put the pedal to the metal without stopping and seeing if we're on track every now and then, we'll often end up really far from our intended destination. So I put together a list of questions that had everything that I personally wanted in a reflection exercise. These are backed by science to help you identify your dream life and then actually make it a reality. They're designed to help you look back and look forward, to narrow in on your unique strengths, your unique goals, your unique challenges, and the unique ways that you are going to overcome all of these things. I will also be sharing how I've applied each of these questions to transform my own life. Welcome to the Liz Moody Podcast. I'm Liz. I'm a longtime journalist who asks all of the questions that you want asked. I share science-backed strategies to cut through the wellness trends and BS to get you the results that you want, no matter how busy or tired or overwhelmed that you feel. If you're listening and you're like, yes, that resonates, that sounds like me, make sure that you follow the show so you do not miss what we have coming up next. On January 1st, we are dropping an episode unlike any you've ever heard. This is the Liz Moody take on weight loss. We're not body shaming. We are not contributing to the crazy skinny trend that's happening right now that I find really appalling and frightening. We are sharing the science of body composition that will help you overcome any hurdles that you're coming across and actually make you feel the way that you want to feel every single day. We have an episode that will finally help you stick to working out consistently, and I say that as somebody who is the opposite of a gym person. We have a full health reset with the 7 science-backed habits that truly matter and the 3 habits that surprisingly do not matter. We have an episode with Stanford scientists on designing daily routines that create more joy, more purpose. These episodes are designed to build on each other, so following right now really turns this into an ongoing journey, not just a one-off listen. And I promise that journey is going to take you to places that you never imagined. And if you want to go deeper with today's episode, I made a free companion workbook for you that has all of these questions laid out, plus our exclusive life audit to help you get specific about what's working for you and where there might be a little bit of room to grow. Just head to lizmoody.com/2026 and drop your email there, and I will send it to you instantly. Okay, we are going to count these down from 6 to the number 1, the top most important question that will unlock your best 2026. Starting off with question 6. Think about one of the best days that you have had in the last few weeks. It doesn't need to be a day that had anything particularly crazy happening. In fact, it's better if it was just a normal day where you felt really good. Write down as much as you can remember from that day, or just talk about this with a friend or whomever you're doing this with. What time did you wake up? What did you do when you first opened your eyes? What did you eat for breakfast? Who did you talk to? What was the shape of your day? Did you work out? Did you play music? What did your home feel like? Really try to get as detailed as possible. Now, think about a day that did not feel so good recently. Again, it ideally wouldn't be like a worst day of your life scenario, just a day that you felt grumpier or a little bit more blah. Now do the same thing for that day. What time did you wake up? What did you do when you first opened your eyes? What did you eat for breakfast? Who did you talk to? What did you talk about? The goal here is to look for patterns. I first learned this technique when I had Dr. Rachel Zoffness on the podcast for an episode about revolutionary approaches to pain management. And one of her strategies is to have clients track the days that their pain is the worst and the days that their pain is the best, and then look for what those days have in common. And while I think this is a genius approach to pain, it also works for the rest of our lives. So for example, for me, I notice that on days that I'm reading a book that I like, my mood is noticeably better all day long than on days when I'm not, when I don't have a good book to read. Days where I leave the house within the first couple of hours are noticeably better than the days where I don't. Doing this exercise has also made a huge, huge, huge difference in my motivation to work out. On days that I work out, I have noticed that my anxiety is significantly lower and I sleep way better. This is also how I started my habit of eating dinner foods like meatballs with carrots and chickpeas with peanut sauce for breakfast. I realized on the days that I ate savory, hearty meals for breakfast, I felt so much more energized all day long. And sometimes these are things that you just notice offhand. But when you really lay it out and you really look at the patterns, the habits that are contributing to the life that you want become immensely clear. And the habits that are keeping you from the life that you want become immensely clear too. You can get amazing results by just doing this with one great day and one bad day. But if you want to take it to the next level, keep a note on your phone. When you have a day that feels really, really good, just jot down every single thing that you did that day that you can remember, all of those little details. And then if you have a day that you feel less good, note all of that down as well. The more days that you notice, the more patterns you'll be able to pull out and the more you'll be able to shift your life so you have more great days. I have a bunch of prompts for the things to notice, like what did you eat, all of that in the workbook at lizmoody.com/2026. Okay, question 5. Think about one really big dream for your life. It can be in any realm. It can be make $1 million or meet the love of your life or move to a house on a lake where you can watch birds all day. Now, how would you act if it were inevitable that you would achieve it? I'm going to share some research that changed my life. Our brains do not respond to what is. They respond to what we believe is likely. There is a huge body of research on something called the expectancy effect, which shows that when we genuinely expect a positive outcome, we unconsciously shift our behavior to support that belief. We take more risks. We don't give up, even if things get really hard. We bounce back faster from setbacks. We even interpret obstacles differently. If you do not believe something is going to happen, when you experience a hurdle, a bump in the road, your brain will be looking for that confirmation bias. And it'll be like, oh, well, this is proof that we were never going to achieve that dream. Guess we should just stop right here. But if you believe that dream is going to happen, and this is literally shown in so much research, your brain interprets a hurdle as just a temporary challenge or even as an opportunity to learn and grow, which makes you so much more likely to keep going and also to ultimately succeed. When you ask yourself, how would I act if this dream were inevitable? You're bypassing the part of your brain that's unconsciously hijacking you. It's hijacking your brain to keep you small and to keep you scared. We tend to think that confidence comes first and then action comes second. So we have to feel confident to take the behaviors that create our dream life. But research on behavior change shows that the opposite is usually true. Action creates confidence. Acting as if our dreams are inevitable, as if our goals are definitely going to be achieved, literally rewires our brains. We start to believe we are who we consistently behave like. In other words, you don't wait to become confident to start acting like the person who achieves the dream. You start acting like that person, and then the confidence follows. A lot of the times, this question will result in tiny changes that add up to dramatic shifts. Maybe you speak up a little bit more in meetings. Maybe you take your health a little bit more seriously. Maybe you ask out that cute stranger that you saw at the gym. Maybe you start a writing practice or a painting practice. And sometimes this question will just make you feel differently. It'll be a vibe shift. It'll change the energy of your days. If it is inevitable that you will meet your partner, you're free to enjoy the beauty of these last single years in your life, decorating your place exactly how you want, sleeping full starfish on the bed, hanging out with exactly who you want, exactly when you want. One of the top laments that I hear from people who do achieve their dreams, whether they meet their dream partner or sell a company or something else entirely, is how much more they wish they enjoyed the journey. We waste so many years acting like we're in pursuit of something else, acting like life will start when we just get this thing, when the truth is, this is it. This is your life, right here, right now. Acting as if your dream is inevitable not only makes it significantly more likely to come true, it frees you up to enjoy the unique, magical parts of your life in exactly this moment, because you are never gonna get exactly this moment again. Question 4, what are your top 3 values? These are the things that you live by, the guiding principles of your life. If words come to mind, amazing, go with those. But if you need inspiration, I will share some values here, and then I will have a full list in our workbook at lizmoody.com/2026. So you can just kind of go through those and choose from them. I also recorded an episode called How to Figure Out Your Dream Career and Actually Get It with NYU professor Susie Welch, where we dive into how to figure out what our values are. And I can link that in the show notes for you to listen to after this episode. But just some thought starters for you. Wealth is a value. Service is a value. Simplicity, success, legacy, family, stability, growth, power, joy, usefulness, adventure, authenticity, generosity is a value. Write down your top 3 or share them with whomever you're doing this exercise with. The 3 values that your 90-year-old self will look back on and say, I am so glad that I prioritized that. At the end of the day, separate from all of the noise, that's what makes my life feel well lived. Okay, now here's the tougher part 2 of the question. If a stranger were to look at the way that you spent your past week, what would they say your top value was? What about the past month? What about the past year? This was such a wake-up call for me when I did it. I'm going to call myself out. If a stranger looked at my past week, they would say that work was my top value, hands down. They might even say that stress was a value. Because we live in a capitalist society, most of us are conditioned to act like wealth is our top value, even when really most of us want wealth to support our other values, things like time with friends or family, or a peaceful living environment, or adventure. But when we have enough wealth to support those things, many of us, not all of us, but many of us, don't actually prioritize them because we're over at work chasing more wealth. 1/4 of Americans do not take any of their vacation days. 2/3 of Americans do not use up all of them. A micro tip that I'd share here is to figure out how much your dream life will actually cost you. Your dream, not the bullshit that you see on Instagram that I promise you somebody else is definitely going into credit card debt for. The stuff that you don't see that's happening behind the scenes is wild. But how much is the literal house that would actually make you happy? How much would your ideal vacation cost? Write it all out. Because until we know the actual answer, society has conditioned us to just think that the answer is more. Another really common thing that I see and that I've run into myself is that people will write down things like community or family as one of their top values, but they set their life up in a way that feels pretty much like the opposite of that. I've had my friend Sahil Bloom on the podcast a few times, and he tells this story of realizing that if he kept living his life in the same way, he would see his parents maybe a handful of weeks more in total before they likely passed. A week during the holidays, a week over the summer. And he said, no, I don't accept that. And him and his wife packed up and they moved back to the East Coast where they now see their extended family on a weekly basis. You do not need to necessarily move across the country. But this question might feel harsh because a lot of us need a wake-up call. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is our lives. And yes, we need to make money and we need to live in the real world. And we have a lot more flexibility than we act like to live in a way that aligns with our values. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to add in one thing that you will commit to in 2026 that will get you a little bit closer to living your values. Maybe it is moving across the country. But maybe if you value peace, it's just scheduling 30 minutes of do nothing time every single day. Maybe if you value community, it's making a recurring plan with a friend or starting a book club or visiting that friend who moved away that you've been saying you'll go see for 4 years now. Maybe you'll actually do that this year. Maybe it's helping your friend move or picking your friend up at the airport. If you value creativity, maybe you're going on photography walks or taking a painting class. Whatever it is, pick one way that you're going to live into your values. When we do that, we feel this very clear sense of soul alignment. Not living by your values chips away at your energy, your self-image, your self-love every single day. It might not feel like it's costing you that much, but I promise you it is. Before we get to question 3, I have a little pre-question for you. What is one goal that you have for the next year? It can be a big goal, it can be a little goal, it can be start strength training, or it can be meditate every day, or it can be write a novel. If you don't know what goal to set, think about something that's holding you back from feeling the way that you want to feel. That can provide really helpful direction. You can also think of somebody that you're envious of. Envy is one of the most helpful, informative emotions if we use it correctly. The trick is to get as specific as possible about the envy. So, are you envious that they host a podcast, that they take dreamy looking vacations, that they have a strong sense of personal style? Are you envious of their relationship with their partner? Now, what is one goal that you can set that will get you one step closer to the thing that you're envious of? Okay, so you've got your goal. Now you're ready for question 3. What is one system that you can set up that will get you closer to that goal? The single biggest mistake that most people make when they are setting goals is relying on motivation to achieve them. No successful person that I have ever met relied on motivation to get themselves there. If I waited until I was motivated to prep for a podcast episode, you would literally never listen to an episode of the Liz Moody podcast ever again. If I waited until I was motivated to go to the gym, I would never go to the gym. I would probably never leave my couch if I am being honest. Our goals fall to the level of our systems, the tiny repeatable actions and environmental setups that carry us forward, even on days that we do not feel inspired at all. A system is choosing the workout that you want to do, the days that you want to do it, the times that you will do it, and the way that you will hold yourself accountable. A system is putting a 30-minute writing block in your calendar every single morning. If you want to become an influencer this year, a system is setting time to shoot and post content 5 times a week. And if you want a bonus tip here, figure out a way to enjoy the system. You're going to spend thousands more hours writing a book than the single day that you're going to publish it. We think that these single moments of achieving our goals are what makes us happy, but there's something that I talk about all the time called the arrival fallacy that proves that that's just not true. Research shows that if we think one magical thing is gonna make us happy, like getting an Olympic medal or having a dream wedding or making a certain amount of money, we actually end up less happy on the other side of achieving that thing. You're gonna spend 100 times more hours planning your wedding than actually having the wedding. You're gonna spend thousands more hours training for the Olympics than competing in them. The journey is not something on the way to our life beginning. It is our life. The systems are our lives. If you do not enjoy the journey, you are missing the majority of what makes up your life. Question 2. What is one thing that you want to leave behind in 2025? What is one thing that wasn't working for you? This could be a belief, a pattern, a message that you've internalized that actually isn't helping you. For me, it's the idea that success only comes from struggle. That if something feels aligned or fun or even easy, it must not be real success or I must not be working hard enough for it. Not only is this not true when I actually reflect on it, it's not helpful. I built this podcast, for instance, because I loved deep conversations, because curiosity is something that flows naturally for me, because this work lights me up. And when I followed that, it led to amazing things. It's one of the most effortless feeling things that I do is have these interviews, talk to you guys in this way. Yet I've internalized this idea that like good things in my life only come with struggle. Good things in my life have to feel hard. When you answer this question, I want you to get really, really honest. This could be something that used to fit that doesn't anymore. It could be something that society or your parent or a teacher told you that never really fit in the first place. Name it and leave it behind. This is going to make space for the newest, the most right-fitting version of ourselves. Growth is not just about adding in new habits or goals all the time. It's also about pruning the stuff that no longer belongs in the life that you are building. In fact, science shows that subtraction, removing friction, removing negative cues, removing outdated beliefs, is often more powerful than addition when it comes to real change. Yay, congratulations, you have made it to question 1. If you do none of the other questions, please do this one, which is actually less of a question and more of a prompt. I want you to reflect on how far you have come. I want you to go back to childhood you and tell her all of the amazing twists and turns that your life has taken that she could never even imagine. My childhood self would never believe that I get to talk to people for a job or that I get to lead a team of amazing and intelligent and powerful women. She would be blown away that I'd adventured to foreign countries all by myself. My 20-something self would be mind blown by how well I take care of myself now, that I wash my face every night before I go to sleep, that I floss every single day. I did not do either of these things for the entirety of my 20s, that I make preventative doctor's appointments or I voluntarily eat vegetables. Our years, our lives are filled with so many more wins than we give ourselves credit for. And research shows that when we notice our wins, we release more dopamine, which makes us far more motivated. One of the best things that you can do to get excited about 2026 is notice how far you've come in 2025, 2024, and 2023. And I promise it is so much further than you might initially think. What feels normal to you now would have felt impossible to a past version of you. Maybe you advocate for yourself at work instead of staying silent. Maybe you set boundaries with your family that once felt really scary and impossible. Maybe you move your body more, or you rest without guilt, or you choose better partners, or you leave situations faster when they don't feel right. Our brains want to skip over all of that growth because they're always looking to adapt to a new norm. But noticing it is actually the secret to more growth. So just take a quick second and share some of your wins with a friend or your partner or a journal. I would actually love to hear one win from your past year too. It can be big, it can be small, but just tell me one win in the comments so that I can cheer you on. All right, my friends, that is our 2025 reflection to set us up for the best 2026 of our lives. I'm so excited for it. I'm honestly proud of you for even listening to this. Most people think about changing their lives someday, but you are actually taking these steps to do it today, which puts you way ahead of the pack. If you liked what you heard in this episode, you're going to love everything else that we have in this little pocket of the internet. You have found your people. So if you haven't yet, make sure that you hit follow on the Liz Moody podcast on Spotify, on Apple, or on YouTube. That way you won't miss out on the January episodes that I talked about, the Liz Moody Take on Weight Loss one, the one that helps you finally stick with a workout, the Full Health Reset, the Stanford Routines for Joy episode, all of which are designed to build on this work that you just did. And if you want to turn the results of this episode up to 100, send it to one person that you love, a friend, a partner, a sibling, and then do the questions together. Or you can grab the full workbook and the life audit. The life audit is really, really helpful. It's totally different than anything that we got into here. And it helps you just like zoom out and see where you're thriving and then what you have more potential for growth in. You can get that at lizmoody.com/2026 and then make a little reflection night of it with somebody else. Science shows that we consistently hit our goals better if we do them with other people. And while being part of this podcast community will get you a really long way, you can amplify the effects even more by bringing real people in your real life in too. Thank you truly for spending this time with me. I do not take it lightly that I get to be in your ears and in your life. And I cannot wait to see who you become in 2026. And I'm so excited that we get to keep doing this together. I love you, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Liz Moody Podcast. Oh, just one more thing. It's the legal language. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, a psychotherapist, or any other qualified professional.